Contrary to popular belief, the idea of post-credit scenes existed before Nick Fury decided to assemble the Avengers. They're rare outside of the superhero movie genre for sure, but they do exist. An example I like to use is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which showcases a Professor Lockhart at the brink of insanity after a failed memory charm, one he accidentally cast on himself. But Harry Potter is not the subject here, at least not in this series. Wink. What I'm trying to get at here is that Pirates of the Caribbean, every movie, has a post-credit scene. I was going to save the ranking of the extras for the finale, but these last two parts, I'm ranking things I deem as more important. So, for this one, I'm ranking the post-credit scenes. Spoilers. Number 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. As it should come as no surprise, the fifth movie is the worst at everything when it comes to the franchise. Will and Elizabeth are sleeping, and Will has a nightmare that Davy Jones is in his bedroom. Then it shows barnacles on the ground. Not sure if this was supposed to tease the return of Davy Jones, but there'll for sure be no return at all. So this series is dead. Number 4, On Stranger Tides. This one shows a Jack Sparrow voodoo doll washing up on the island Angelica was marooned on. First of all, what are the chances that the voodoo doll floated from the waterfall it was thrown off of to that very specific island? If the doll was face down in the water, would Jack drown? And if Angelica had the voodoo doll, why didn't we see Jack literally bend backwards and die in the fifth movie? Is there a certain distance from the victim that the voodoo doll can be for it to be effective? Too many questions for literally no payoff. Number 3, Curse of the Black Pearl. This one shows Jack, Barbosa's monkey, nabbing an Aztec coin and becoming Skelemonkey. Doesn't do much for me personally, but I don't hate it like I do with the last two post-credit scenes. Number 2, Dead Man's Chest. This one shows the guard dog being shown as a deity of the Pelagos' tribesmen, similar to Jack at the start of the film. Sure, it would have meant he would eventually get eaten, but he doesn't, since we do see this dog in the third film, so he escaped somehow. I was mostly relieved he wasn't eaten at the beginning of the movie, since he was the distraction used so that the Black Pearl could escape without a hitch. And finally, number 1, At World's End. This shows Will Turner 10 years after he became the new captain of the Flying Dutchman, visiting Port Royal so that Will can see Elizabeth and their 10-year-old son from afar. A nice bookend to the original trilogy, even if the fifth movie kind of tarnished it. Don't get me wrong, it's nice that Will reunited with his family, but the rest of the movie? No thanks. But that's the ranking. Not sure if it's surprising to anyone, but I felt like ranking the post-credit scenes were worth doing, so thanks for sitting through that. The second half to the pirate comic relief duo Retti. It's been a while since we covered Pintle in the series, but this was his partner in crime. They are rarely ever seen apart, if at all. Retti is definitely the more famous one of the two, and it's for one simple reason. His eye, or lack thereof, or not lacking thereof, I don't know, it's really a crapshoot if the eye is there or not. But Retti has 2 abilities in this game. I know we just covered a bunch of Flying Dutchman crewmates with 3 abilities, but honestly, Retti and the next guy are ranked above for status alone. I know most of the Flying Dutchman crewmates have more abilities than Retti, but if it came down to either playing Retti or literally anyone from the last part, Retti sweeps every time. Anyways, those 2 abilities of Retti are the sword and target abilities, and if I didn't sell you on the status argument as to why Retti is ranked higher, then this next talking point will win you over. Want to guess what Retti uses for his target ability? His eye. He tosses his eye at targets. Hook, line, and sinker, baby. I know I've convinced you all. Now, the whole status thing I was talking about with Retti, this is the guy it applies to the most. On paper, Will Turner, one of the main characters of the original trilogy, only gets 2 abilities. Now, both of his abilities make sense, and no other ability in this game would make sense with this guy, but it's an absolute injustice that he would be ranked under the entire Flying Dutchman crew. Some of them, fine. But all of them? I'm sorry, I can't do that to him. I hope you understand. But if you don't, then dislike the video or something. I don't know. Then undislike and like the video again. And then subscribe while you're at it. But Will Turner's abilities are the sword and target abilities, using an axe for his targeting. What surprises me, but also not really, is the fact that this is Will Turner's one and only variant. I guess I don't recall Will switching up his outfits a lot in the movies, but the other two main characters in the original trilogy had at least 5. Hell, even Angelica had 2, so what's the deal? The fact that this is the one and only Will Turner is yet another reason to give Will Turner the pass over the Flying Dutchman crewmates. I mean, if there was a new LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean game, there might be a variant of Will Turner as the captain of the Flying Dutchman, which would give him coral and underwater walk. So, yeah, in a hypothetical situation where this, LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean reboot game existed, Will Turner would deservedly be ranked above the Flying Dutchman crew, which is yet another reason why I deemed Will Turner as better than them. So, take that, internet. Please let me have this. Next up, we have the Spaniard, one of the secondary antagonists of the 4th film. The Spaniard is the most trusted agent of the Spanish king at the time this movie took place. Ooh, so edgy. In the movie, though, he just seemed like a last-second nuisance. We all care about the true big bad. This guy has the ability to turn people into zombies. Zombies, I tell you. Oh yeah, and this other guy has some other affiliation with no name other than being a member of said affiliation, and he's also here to be forever young. Okay, but the Spaniard is pretty good in this game, funnily enough. The dude has a sword, which is expected of a guy who is trusted by the king of Spain. But the other ability he has is the real draw to his character, which is the explosive ability. A classic ability that's present in most LEGO games where silver LEGO objects can be exploded, as well as the weapon causing the explosion, usually being pretty good as a weapon. I say usually because there are 2 weapons that allow a character to have the explosive ability in this game, and one is straight up broken by how good it is compared to the other. The Spaniard, well, he has the other. It's a stereotypical bomb. A black ball with a wick sticking out of it. The other explosive weapon, which is the really good one, is actually owned by only one guy in this game, and he's obviously ranked above the Spaniard. Yeah, the round bomb is nice and all, but in combat, it's just a little hard to use. And you can't target bullseyes with the round bomb, which makes sense, but the round bomb sticks to silver objects before exploding, so why can't it stick to bullseyes? Yeah, sorry guy, you don't get a name. You get a big tattoo though, and a sword, and some muscle, but a name? Sorry, you forfeit that the second you step into the bathhouse of Saufang. And it's not like the Spaniard, where having no name is cool and edgy. Your title is given to you because you're pathetic and not worth the trouble of being given a name. Yeah, this guy's actually unlocked in the story, in the Singapore level. I think the main reason this guy is here in the game is because the game had to introduce you to the strength ability in the story, and they saw the sweaty big guy in the bathhouse and said, yeah, let's put him in the game. Captain Teague? Who? Who's that? Guard Dog's owner? Jack Sparrow's dad? Whatever, get Tattoo Pirate guy in here. How do you know he's even a pirate? What if he's just a patron of the bathhouse? This guy actually does have a wiki page, but I'm pretty sure it's only because of his existence in this game. The wiki page is as bare as his torso, in case you're wondering. As I hinted at in the beginning of the segment though, Tattoo Pirate gets the sword and strength abilities. Not too shabby for a man without a name. Garang was a crewmate on the Queen Anne's Revenge during the events of the 4th film, and was one of the guys you needed to complete the Queen Anne's Revenge level. Remember how I was talking about that chain reaction sequence during this level that the game made you go through with the Cook and Scrum and Salomon? Well, in that 4-step chain reaction, Garang was the 2nd or 3rd step depending on the order you do things. You use Scrum to satisfy his musical cravings so that Garang will open the gate, unleashing the cold-blooded murderer so that he can be given an egg. Garang has the strength ability and also a sword, so yeah, he plays exactly the same as the Tattoo Pirate. But he's ranked above the Tattoo Pirate for one simple reason. He has a name. That's pretty much it. And hey, who's to say the Tattoo Pirate and Garang aren't the same person? Maybe Tattoo Pirate lost some weight in between the events of At World's End and On Stranger Tides. I mean, I can see it. We've done it. We've finally done it. Not finishing the series. We have a little ways to go. No, I mean the end of the Cursed Crewmates. This is the certified best crewmate of the Black Pearl on this list, and it's Jacoby. He was a bearded guy who got blown up mere minutes before the curse was broken, the poor guy. I can only imagine how pissed he was in the land beyond the living after finding out how close he was to freedom. But naturally, his demise was made his main ability in this game. Jacoby possesses a bomb, the explosive weapon inferior to the certain other one I can't legally talk about yet, but the bomb is still pretty good regardless, especially considering how few characters actually have the explosive ability. And, as a cursed crewmate, he has the underwater walk. It felt like ages since we covered Captain Barbosa. Back in those days, he just had a singular ability with a sword, and not a singular leg like he does with this variant. This is Privateer Barbosa, when Barbosa joined the ranks of the British Navy to get back at Blackbeard for him rocking his boat, and then proceeded to put that boat in a bottle. Privateer Barbosa obviously is a huge upgrade over the regular Barbosa. Yeah, he may have lost a leg, but he gained 2 new abilities, so it's basically a net positive. First things first, the sword ability stays. It always does. But the new ones are more interesting. The first new ability is Barbosa's new pet. No, not the monkey. It's the frogs. In the 4th film, Barbosa takes up a hobby of collecting poison dart frogs so that he can use the poison on his weaponry. This leads to Barbosa using it on Blackbeard at the end of the movie. Spoilers. They barely spend any time on this poison dart frog thing, and they made it a whole ability in this game. I love it when TT Games does this, like how in LEGO Indiana Jones they made Elsa being scared of rats like a whole thing in the game, even though I think she had a reaction anyone would have if they were in a room filled to the brim with wet rats. But these frogs, wielded by Privateer Barbosa, can be thrown to hit targets, so yeah, I think the frogs take the cake as the strangest ranged weaponry so far in this game. The last ability, if you want to call it that, is the peg leg. Yes, it actually does something. Basically, jump in the air and press the attack button, and instead of slamming down a weapon, like most characters do, Privateer Barbosa slams down the peg leg. It's actually a pretty good method of attacking enemies, and it's not even exclusive to Privateer Barbosa, so I can count it as an ability. But overall, this is a pretty solid character, as characters probably should be at this point in the list. Based on this guy's abilities, I had assumed he was a member of Blackbeard's zombie gang. Trademarking that, by the way. But no, this guy was the bosun of the Black Pearl for the events of the first film, so this is a cursed crewmate. I know I made a big stink about Jacoby being the last one, but frankly, I'm just too lazy to go back and change the script and act like I know everything, when it's pretty clear by now for longtime viewers that I definitely don't know everything, and that I should own the fact that I'm just so dumb. Anyway, the reason why I said I thought he was a Blackbeard zombie gangster is because of his abilities. Blackbeard zombies have both the strength and underwater walk as, gimme abilities. This guy has both of those, but it's just a coincidence that he also has the strength ability on account of him being the bosun in addition to his single gimme ability, the underwater walk, if that makes sense. Finally, bosun has the sword, but that's no surprise. Just some rando with a conveniently good set of abilities. That's what this guy is. Okay, this guy, I wasn't mistaken. I had this dude in physical LEGO form. I know this is a member of the Blackbeard Zombie Gang, TM, because he was in the Queen Anne's Revenge set. And he's also like the second in command, I think. I'm no expert of boating lingo, but the Quartermaster at least seemed to have had an important role on the ship. The Quartermaster is pretty similar to the bosun, as in exactly the same. Quartermaster gets the strength and underwater walk abilities right up front, for some reason. I've said in the past, but underwater walk just makes no sense for zombies. I guess it's not bad for the zombies in the game, and I think the developers wanted to make the characters you see in the late game have more going on than characters you see in the first 3 campaigns, but really, it makes no sense. In addition though, just like the bosun, Quartermaster has a sword that he wields as well, so that's all dandy, I guess. Of all characters that just barely missed the final 10, it's this little goblin-like Dutchman crewmate. Penrod is a spunky little fellow with a unique running animation. Man, look at him go. Penrod has a record-breaking 4 abilities, which is insane for this game. Now, obviously, as a crewmate on the Flying Dutchman, he gets those abilities that are assigned to him for his affiliations. Penrod has both the coral and underwater walk. The other 2 abilities are fairly obvious just by looking at him. Of course, he has the short ability based on his shorter stature. Also, that weird ski pole thing that he wields allows for sword levers to be used. So, personally, the crab claw he has on the other arm would have been a lot cooler weapon. But hey, he would have definitely be lower on the list if it weren't for that, green Cheeto of a weapon. Count those characters. Lively competition this time around, with On Stranger Tides conveniently tying all the movies right before the finale. Haha, I did not plan this.